difficult to do package management because you have to you have many moving parts. FileMaker is both a database and a front end and the scripting logic that ties all that together. So how would you bundle all of that up into a single thing that could be quote unquote installed into a program?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's new. People have tried to kind of create the same sort of process before in the FileMaker community. Most notably is modular FileMaker.org. Modular development would be where you take an .fmp12 file and it has a list of instructions for how to copy and paste all of that stuff into your file. But what Addons does is it takes it one step further and turns that into a one-click type of thing that you can do almost instantly, adding in a whole bunch of functionality into your file versus having to copy and paste this back and forth and then change this script and fix this one thing, you know, as opposed to a checklist of 20 or so steps. Now you're doing one step. So it makes the ability for you to repeat work over and over again much easier to accomplish. So if I have a component that I've built that I want to use in a lot of my systems, I can now bundle that up, and anytime I need to use that, I can install it and integrate it into a file, and all the work's done almost instantly.
Awesome.
So yeah, you already did housekeeping. These slides are a little out of order. So yeah. What are FileMaker add-ons? In short, a FileMaker add-on is a bundle of FileMaker things that you would want to install in your system. So it has data tables, it has record data, it has layouts, it has scripts, it has all the fields and objects. So essentially everything you need to build anything in FileMaker gets bundled into a single component that you can then transport to different user workstations or different files on your own workstation so that you can use them in place of developing a feature from the ground up. Excuse me. So what do you need to use them? Well, really the only thing you need is FileMaker 19 to use them. FileMaker 19 added the functionality of add-ons, and then FileMaker 19.1, which was just released in the last couple of weeks, included some prefabricated add-ons that are ready to use out of the box. So when the original version of 19 released, it didn't have any add-ons, but it had the functionality to use them. But now there's some sample add-ons that we'll cover for that. So how can they help me? Well, if you're not a developer, it allows you to quickly bolt on a component onto your file with very little development experience. So if you need to build a quick little Scratch file where you need like a calendar component, you have the ability to like drop one of those in now. So this type of add-on functionality is going to slowly replace what traditionally has been the FileMaker starter solutions. So the starter solutions in FileMaker have been a contacts database or an inventory database, where it's just a very simple 1 or 2 table system for entering in and managing some contacts. So now in the future of FileMaker, so to speak, there's going to be the ability to probably select multiple add-ons and bolt them onto one of those base files, which incidentally, if you go into FileMaker now, sorry, let me close that out, and go to the Create New dialog, the number of starter templates in here is now much smaller than what it used to be. So there used to be a couple, about 20 starter solutions in here now, but they've pared it down to a much smaller list there. So the other way it can help you, if you are a developer, it can help you save time. So you can offer a greater value to your clients that you're billing, because you might have a component that you've already built as an add-on that that you can offer to all of your clients. So if I build an add-on of a calendar system, or if I build an add-on of a form component that I want to use in other systems, I can bundle that into an add-on, and then I can, install that in a matter of minutes rather than, a couple hours of coding it from the ground up, or even copying and pasting work from one file to the other. So it helps you organize, it helps you compile things, it helps you make your development style a little more modular. So where can I get them? Aside from making them yourself and putting together your own private library on your workstation, you can also get add-ons in the marketplace now directly. So if you go to marketplace.claris.com and you scroll down, they have these little tag clouds, and you can click on add-ons. And this is a specific category for add-ons. And you can see there's about 2 pages in here. Some of these are the ones that actually come bundled with FileMaker 19.1 now. So like the Kanban board, the calendar heat map, the calendar, I think that activity timeline is in there. But some of these other ones are ones that you can download. So some of these are, some of them are paid for, but you can get the idea based on their screenshot of what that is. So this one has this little star rating system here that translates into a number field for a rating. Or maybe you have this one which offers an e-signature capture for you to be able to add this e-sign functionality into your system. So the marketplace will have paid add-ons, but also free add-ons. I think these other ones down here are free, so you can go and download those for free. This one, since it's included in FileMaker, it just redirects you to FileMaker's, Claris FileMaker's homepage. Right. So how do you install them? I'm going to give you a demo on that later on, but basically you first add them to a file. And once you add them to the file, that makes that add-on available locally. If the add-on has a component that is drag and drop capable into your layout, like the ability to drag and drop a calendar add-on into your layout, then you'll also get drag and drop functionality for where you want to put that component on the layout. And then lastly, oh man, scroll wheel. I'm not used to PowerPoint.
Man.
Marshall keeps sending me PowerPoint files instead of Keynote files. So lastly, are they risky? Well, that's a very good thing to think about. And actually, Stephen Dolinsky and Stephen Blackwell, the V and the PH Stevens, authored this quick little 1-page or 2-page document about issues with add-ons. So yes, add-ons, if you're making your add-ons yourself, you're probably going to have a good idea as to what they do and how they integrate into your files. But if you're getting your add-ons from some other developer, there is a risk involved in that. It can, since it's inserting a lot of things into your file, putting tables in your relationship graph, putting relations in your relationship graph, adding layouts and scripts to your files, you don't know exactly what those things are going to do if you don't actually open up that add-on on its own and take a look at it, at what it's doing. So it introduces a lot of risk for kind of destroying your solutions. These words are a little bit scary, but that's kind of how Stephen Blackwell writes his white papers, because he wants you to be concerned about security. Having a script that goes through your file and sends data to another source, that's totally possible with an add-on. So a malicious add-on could be installed on your system, and when you use it, it goes, and the first time you run a script, it has some subscript that scrapes all of your data out of your system. The other part about add-ons is there is the ability to uninstall an add-on once you've already done that. And what that can do is that can wipe out parts of your system if they're removed improperly. So if you've renamed your tables or something, it can leave fragments of data around your system. It can It can delete where maybe I wanted to keep my events table from my calendar, but only remove the calendar part. But if I uninstall it, it also deletes all of my calendar data. So there's some things to pay attention about when you're doing that. So, do you trust the source? Normally, at least if you're getting it off the Claris marketplace, it's been through some a basic vetting process. But it's always good to ask a second opinion from another developer if you want to use something for them to take a look. And then there's some best practice information in here. So I'm going to include a link to this PDF as part of our materials later on so that you can read into some of these best practice recommendations. But for now, I'm just going to switch on back to PowerPoint. So there is some risk you have to consider. The other thing is, when you install it, there are certain add-ons that are going to do one thing kind of in their own isolated little box. It doesn't need to communicate with the rest of the system. But for other things, like if I want to install an add-on calendar, but I already have an events table in my database, I'm going to need to think about how I'm going to integrate those two things. Because when I install the add-on, now I might have two events tables in my database. So I might need to alter the add-on code to use my events table, or vice versa, or I might need to sync two tables together. So it's also risky from a standpoint of it can kind of create that database clutter because you're sticking different components together that weren't necessarily originally designed to work together. So there's probably the add-ons, not the magic system that's going to allow for us to just pick and choose 10 different things we want, and it spits out an app that's ready to use and be done. But it is going to save us time in getting there in most cases. So let's talk about creating add-ons. And creating add-ons is relatively easy. If you saw when I created a new here, it gives me an add-on creation template that I can actually use. And I can't actually save that on my Mac, so I'm not going to do anything with that because I don't want to actually go host that on somebody else's server. So you'll have an add-on template that you can use to create your own, or you can create it from an existing file. So what I'm going to do for creating an add-on is use this file that I found. That's the PDF I'm going to share with you. PDF viewer sample. So this is from a blog post from a development company out in Oakland called Beeswax. They're a good group of guys, and they put together this PDF web viewer. So when you've got a FileMaker container field like this one down here, it will display a preview of the PDF, but it won't really allow you to interact with it at all. So if I resize this sample, I need to unlock it first. But if I resize this so that it's really big, you can see it shows me this, but I don't really get any controls for doing anything with this PDF. So if I wanted a more robust PDF editor, let me resize that back down. I can use this demo file where they gave me a web viewer that will allow me to look at this PDF. So this has some basic tools for pagination, for searching in the document. Zooming in and out of the document, printer control, that type of thing. So it gives me a lot more features around viewing PDFs. So if I have a system where I'm doing document management, I might want to give them this kind of reader in a card window. So how we create add-ons is just a single script step. So I have a script here, and it says save a copy as add-on package. And you notice it's going to ask me for a window name. And I'm just going to give it the current window name, which is going to be PDF viewer sample. Then it has a replace UUIDs function, which I'll explain a little bit later. But for now, you can leave that off. Usually the replace UUIDs function is going to be used if you're planning to, how do I put this? Regenerate this add-on over and over again so that each time it's unique. So for now, I'm just going to create an add-on. So that's it. It's one script step, and then the inverse of this is on a. I'll get into that a little bit later. So for now, just to run this script to create our add-on, it takes a little bit of time to run, 30, 45 seconds or something like that. But what it's going to do is it's going to generate all our bundle of all of this stuff. So you saw in here, there's a couple scripts in here. There's 4 scripts in there. There's a couple layouts in here. There's buttons on the layout. There's data in here. There's a record with this PDF file. So when it's done, it's going to actually open up that PDF. It's going to open up your add-on folder. And if you look at the location of this, it's inside of my folder, my library, application support, FileMaker, extensions, add-on modules. So it's kind of in your plugins folder. That's what this extensions folder is. And then you have a new folder now for add-on modules. And you'll see there's two things here. There's the add-on itself, which is this FM add-on file. And see, it bundled it to 61.1 megabytes, which I'm just curious at this time, but I'm going to actually see what this PDF viewer sample is, 6.6 megabytes. So I wonder why there's so much of a file size with that add-on module. That would be a good question for Claris if they're on the line.
Aaron Quick is here, and he's been answering a lot of questions for us in the past. So maybe he can tell us. Maybe he can tell us how he wrote this.
10 times the size of what my .fmp12 file was?
I think Darren wrote this in his kitchen table while he was waiting for the kids to get ready for school.
All right.
Yeah, that's for developers who want to pay for the extra size. You can upcharge.
Yeah.
You pay by the pound.
You pay by the pound, yeah.
That's awesome.
Developers these days, back when I was learning computing, megabytes meant something.
Yeah, you kids
now everybody takes disk space for granted with your
kids in your 8-bit processors.
2 terabyte hard drives and stuff. Yeah. So anyways, the other thing it comes with is a folder that contains all the metadata from my file. And you'll notice that it's language based. So I'm actually going to drag this and open it up in VSC using a Windows product on a Claris file. Here we go. So a lot of these are pretty similar, but you can see they're language based. So they have a different language file for each language that's supported by the FileMaker platform. So I'm going to deal with the EN ones for English, but you'll see here, this is some information about our file. So I can actually change some of this information. So I'll just say that this is PDF viewer, description, installs a robust PDF viewer. Category. So I could do developer utilities, or I could do something like document management, or let's do container augmentation. That sounds cool. Features. Installs a web viewer based, or if we're just doing a list of features here, we can do robust PDF viewer, just one. And then optimized, we can say this is desktop, tablet, mobile. We could also probably put, I don't know if you would put web direct or web in here. So I'm not sure that there are any more categories for optimized. So I'm just going to leave that as is. Save that. And then if we look at our English XML, so this is giving you kind of a look inside of what all goes into this add-on package. So it's going to tell me like what tables it's adding in here. It's adding this table in here. It's adding this table in here. There's just a lot of information that goes in here. I'm not going to dive too deep into that XML. And then, but the other file I want to show you while I'm here is the records English XML. So it will automatically save the records in your system out into an XML format so that they get re-imported and essentially rehydrated when you install an add-on. So if I have sample data that I want to include with my add-on, I can do that here. But if I have a set of constants that I also want to populate, I can put those in here as well. And since it's split out by language, if I want to release my add-on and sell my add-on in the Claris marketplace, I can actually build in language support by going through each one of these files and translating what's here. So you can tell there's container data in here because it's got like a PNG file in here. That's what this big long chunk of code is. And then lastly, there's like a generic template.xml file that has some more information about your template. This file I would not recommend you modify at all, but you can do, you can look around with edit to see what's going on there. You might want to use an actual XML viewer. I think I've got one like Spear XML, but you can find XML viewers for free online that let you kind of do a tree level structure with this where you can, you know, drill down into each one of these. XML is this nested format, so you know you can drill down between each one of these folders. And that's it. So we've created our add-on now. It's here. So if I want to send this add-on to somebody else, all I have to do is take these two files and compress those. And wow, that's a lot of information. So I'll compress that up together. And then I can send this zip file onwards to somebody else if I need to. So let me just drop that on my desktop for now. And then on their end, all they need to go do is go to their extensions folder, go to their add-on modules folder and unzip that there. And then I will have that available for them. So let's talk about PowerPoint installing that add-on. So when we want to install an add-on, it's going to be in a file. So I'm done with this PDF viewer sample now. I'm going to close that out, and I'm actually going to create a new one here. And we're going to create content management on my Mac, on my desktop, content management. Something like that. So this is just one of the quick starter solutions here. And you can see I've already got a file in here. So add-ons are done in layout mode in the inspector in the left-hand pane. So if I close the panes and open up the left-hand pane, it's in here. So you've got your normal fields and objects, but in 19, you probably noticed this add-ons thing was here. So you can click to install that here. And for components, like I said, that have the ability that have a drag and drop component, you can drag and drop it. This one is just going to install everything. It doesn't have a drag and drop component. So I'm just going to install an add-on here. And I'm probably going to have to restart FileMaker because I modified that metadata. So let me do that really quick. I'm going to quit and just restart. So it registers the changes in that add-on. It's the same for if you like install a plugin and you have to restart for it. So I'll reopen content management demo, go into layout mode, add-ons plus, and there we go. So here you can see it's under the container augmentation category. It's got some of my info in here. PDF viewer installs a robust tells me what tables it's going to install, tells me what layouts it's going to install, tells me what scripts it's going to install. So I can choose that. And just like that, it installed. Now, since it's not a drag and drop component, I can't actually do anything. If I try to drag it and drop it, it just won't do anything. So, but you can tell it's installed because it is, you know, it's added these two layouts here. It has added this PDF viewer demo. And if I go here, you can see that same PDF files here. Everything still works. I can hit render PDF and see my PDF in here. But now I'm in my content management file. So in order for me to fully install this, there's a little more work, right? Because it wasn't just an easy drag and drop thing. It wasn't going to work with my content management container that was built. So I would have to copy some of these components to my other layout and integrate this render PDF script. And then that way I would be able to finish the integration. But since I don't have to copy those layouts or fields or scripts or this web viewer object or program any of this, I can do this in like under 5 minutes now versus maybe an hour of work, and that's a pretty good trade-off there.
So Mike, we have a quick question from the oh, it looks like Ryan might have answered it, but what happens when the add-on includes table names that are tables that are already in the solution?
Mm-hmm. It will automatically rename the add-in tables coming in to a different name.
Okay.
So
like
if I
contact 2 or contact 3 or whatever the story
correct.
is. Okay.
Yeah. And
awesome.
also it won't let you add on the same add-on twice. So now that I've done that, I can't re-add a different one. But yeah, and it's important to distinguish that because if we go back here, you can see that the actual table names it generates are, let me see, try to go back up to the top on this. So you'll notice in in the XML and stuff here that it prefixes this com.fmi.base table in there. So it's actually tracking the difference between like what's a table that's already in your system versus if this is being imported, what name this goes by. So it changes the name of that table when it's being imported to trim off this prefix. But if you already had that table in there, it would change the name accordingly. And I think it changes it everywhere it's referenced with that like FileMaker magic kind of stuff. So if it needs to change this PDF viewer demo name anywhere throughout my add-on when I'm pulling it in, it will do that because it's all referenced locally by either this base table ID or by this base table name. All right. So in my relationship graph, you can see that it added stuff behind where my other tables were already. So that's a little bit interesting as well. All right. So anyways, since this add-on wasn't a drag and drop add-on, let's install a drag and drop add-on. So let's think about what we would need here. So these are these other add-ons here, and let's just say there were some add-ons I think available in 18 as well. They were add-on tables. That's what these ones down here are. So let's just say I want action items. And if I do action items, it's going to allow me to put action items on here, and I'll automatically expand my add. So this is also the power of add-ons. I've got action items now. So if I create myself a new record here, and I just say this is a photo and it's in progress, I can say contact client about this, and have action items. So I didn't do any work. I didn't do anything, but if you notice, and I go back into my relationship graph now, I've now got an action items table in here that was automatically related to my content management table, foreign key to primary key. That table was added, and then that component was added to my layout. And it has a script attached to it as well, I think. Yeah. It has an add script. It installed this folder and that script for me. So all of that was bundled together. But the real new stuff here is the JavaScript add-ons. Those are the cool ones that everybody likes. So let's say I want to do a timer. So I'll do a timer. That's the same thing. So now I've installed 3 add-ons in this layout. And let me just say I want to make that web viewer that large or something like that. When I go into browse mode, here's my timer. So I've got some timer configurations here. So I can actually map this into my database. And it's got some colors here as well. So I don't have those fields in here, so I won't do that now, but I'll go ahead and hit start and see that it has some time in there as well. So all of this right now is happening at the very ground floor level. There are not a lot of add-ons that people have made yet, but give it a couple years and you're going to have probably your choice between 3 or 4 different timers that you can use, or 3 or 4 different calendars that you can use. And as people build these components and release them into the Claris marketplace or places like GitHub where you can download those files, your private library of these resources will start to grow. So as you download your own, and I've saved the shortcut here. So as you download your own add-on modules as a developer, like you grow your toolkit in this extensions folder. So just like how I would use 3 or 4 different plugins, I can install as many add-ons as I need. Once it's been installed in the file like this, you don't need that add-on for all of your users. So all of your users don't have to install this add-on once you've installed it into the file. I'm just putting it in here so that I have it available as from my development role. Okay, so that is essentially add-ons. Originally
so I would think
this was supposed to be half an hour meeting, right? And then
yeah.
It kind of went to an hour. So
well, I have a million questions, so hold on there. So,
right, so question.
It looks to me like there's 2 different ways that you can create add-ons. You can create a little FileMaker database that does something very specific and turn it into an add-on. When you start talking about those Kanban boards and things like that, is there like a Java add-on that you could create and put in this, or is it always start with a little FileMaker database that does one thing, like a checklist or a timer or whatever, and make that an add-on and then move it over? Like Keologic
the
had
difference, the key
signature.
difference there. So for creating those drag and drop components versus creating the full file,
right?
The difference is starting with that the template. So if you start with that template, you can create the object. But if you start with a file that you've already developed, that there's something special about the template that's under here. That lets you create those specific add-ons.
Oh, I get it. Okay. For us non-developers, we need to be reminded of that stuff. So the use case is probably, FileMaker markets itself to the citizen developer. and the citizen developer may not get a lot of leverage out of creating an add-on. I mean, typically they're working with one system and only one system. I know, sometimes NIH or some other folks, they'll take something and they'll use it over time. But it feels like the add-on functionality is going to be more of one where I have a system, I need a component, I'm going to go out to the marketplace, look for that, and now I can put it in my system, as opposed to creating a bunch.
So I think part of Claris's market goal too is to have the ability to do some editing online through the browser.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that have watched FileMaker's roadmap presentations that have been made public, they've demonstrated some quick functionality of putting together FileMaker files from scratch. So, like I said, in the future, hopefully it's going to be less about these starter solutions, and it's going to be more about what features do I need in my starter file, and then generating that starter file from a number of different add-ons on the fly, and then being able to contribute to that as from the marketplace as a developer who sells products. So if you want to, the popular examples, C Code's calendar add-on, Dayback, that adds on a very robust, fully functional calendar system. So if you have people that have a very robust CRM portion, or a very robust e-commerce integration, or even something that just syncs FileMaker data from one place to another, add-ons are going to be those things where you can choose what you need to do, and then wrap it all and bundle it together under a single .fmp12 file. So
Gotcha.
The direction is headed towards how do we make all of that easy, so that the citizen developer doesn't have to learn the development that's required to tie the pieces together. Right now, the citizen developer still has to integrate it. So like I dropped in my PDF viewer add-on, but it's not usable in its current state because it's not tied to the PDFs from the content management file.
Mm-hmm.
So right now it's uncoupled components that I need to couple together to finish those connections.
So some add-ons you're going to put in and they work and life is good. Others you're going to put them in and you're still going to have to make a few plumbing connections in order for them to do what you need them to do. Yeah, that's great. Well, we have one question. The add-on creation template doesn't look like it's available on the create screen. Do you have to be in developer mode, or do you have to just make sure that you've installed FileMaker 19.1?
I think so. So make sure that under your preferences, you have use advanced tools checked. Make sure you have the latest version of FileMaker installed, which is 19.1.2, I believe. And then once you've done that, make sure that you've at least restarted FileMaker to check. I might actually have it through beta testing. I'm not sure. I haven't created my own add-ons yet. I've been just playing around with the cool ones that they've already put out.
Well, I'm pretty sure I have it, and Claris doesn't let me near their beta testing. So.
It might be like a Mac only thing as well. I'm not sure. It's English only, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay.
And also, I'm signed into FileMaker with my Claris ID. I'm not sure if that makes a difference. Sometimes
well, we can figure it out, Tim. I'll get back to you on that. As far as if none of that works, we'll figure it out and get back to you. Any other perspective on add-ons? Mike, Ryan, you could jump in. Ryan, McTeer, Patrick, anybody from Mainspring, hop in. I mean, it seems like it's pretty straightforward as far as where you're going to use it. And it's really like, I imagine when the Apple, the iOS store opened up, they had 200 things in there, and now, my God, you can get anything for anything. So it's really, the marketplace should expand and cover a lot of the things that we're trying to do. And it seems to me like it might also be, how did they do that? So you go in, you look, you bring in an ad in. It could be a pretty powerful training tool too, to be able to look at it and see how it was constructed and everything. Yeah. So we do have some announcements, right? Are you having your cough mug tonight?
No.
No cough mug. So
No
we are
cough
out
mug
of
tonight.
cough mug.
So we're not
Okay.
doing, there was no announcement about that.
Okay.
I think everybody needs a month off. Our last meeting was a little rough. I think everybody finished the day and didn't want to hang out at night. So we only had like 2 or 3 people. So we're going to take a month off and come back in November with that.
Get a running head start on that one. Okay. Do you got a tip or a trick for us?
Yeah. So usually in terms of tips and tricks, there's some stuff that always gets lost in FileMaker's releases because it's not the ooh and the ah features. So everybody is all on about add-ons, but 19.1 also released a new function in FileMaker that we can use. And this one's actually, I thought, was pretty cool because it's the first FileMaker function outside of the native JSON functions that returns data in a JSON format. So get locale. So there's 2 functions actually. One is for my computer on my iMac here. That's file locale elements. And then the other one is system locale elements, which gets the same information except from a server that I'm connected to. But I'm not connected to a server right now, so I'm going to use get local. And you can see that that gives me a lot of metadata that's related to me from a geographical standpoint. So it has information about what the currency format is for what region I'm in, a ton of information about the date, trying to figure out, what the starting date of the week is. Some other people start their weeks on Monday. We start ours on Sunday. What our month names are. So like if I was connecting from a computer in Germany, these dates would be, or these month names would be in German with their corresponding abbreviations. It's even got quarter information in here. It's got date formats in here. It's got just anything as a developer that I would ever need to know about formatting, things for that locale. Those are all included here. So I wish I had a copy of this from somebody that was connected internationally, but to show you the difference. So if this comes in handy for a number of different things, for displaying information in a localized format, so that if you have international users, or if you have FileMaker apps that are being used by people from multiple countries at the same time, you can make your interface change according to that, and you can make calculations that reference this information. So if I want to, JSON get element, and then I just want the currency data out of there. It's probably capitalized. I can get that. And then I can say currency and then symbol. Yeah. So if I want to use this calculation at the beginning of a display to put that display together according to somebody's locale, I can do that now without having to, hard code it on the layout as a merge text field, or set it in the data view settings on the layout. So I can do things a lot more dynamically by having all this information. So that's something that snuck in with this last release that not a lot of people talked about, but there's a lot of useful information and a lot of good reasons to know that this function now exists.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so I'm not gonna hassle everybody by putting up the same tired list of subjects. I mean, we're definitely getting thin, but we'll figure something else. This was a little bit of mainspring choice right here, so we'll do it again and come up with something super interesting that that we found in FileMaker. The next meeting, because we're doing these the third Thursday of every month, is November 19th. If you do have ideas for what you'd like to see or what you'd like us to go over, we're all ears. So send something to answers@gomainspring.com. It is also the same email if you need kind of on-demand help desk support. We've set up answers@gomainspring.com that you can just come in and get a really quick pay-as-you-go answer to a problem if you're stuck, or get coaching, or basically whatever you need to keep you going. If you've got any questions about putting your own add-on together or integrating an add-on or something like that, the concept isn't to nickel and dime you. It's just to get you to a point where you can go back to being a citizen developer and go back to continuing to make FileMaker great. So I think that is it, unless we have any other questions. It looks like of our poll, 3 people are starting to use add-ons, but I really do think that it's the marketplace is just going to have to fill up a little bit more, and then anything you want to do, you're going to be able to. We should do that. We should have an add-on challenge where you can only make a system built out of add-ons. You can't use anything that's original. See how far you can get at some point. That would be pretty good. All right, so thanks everybody for coming. It was great to see everybody again. Stay safe, and we will see you in November 19th of 2020. I should be sending the follow-up email on this probably early next week, and we'll get something on the board, and we'll have the topic and the whole nine. It'll be something compelling, trust me. So take care.